Hey everyone, you're watching the Esperanza 243. You I do this every time. This is Long Live Menavia, part 15, if I'm correct. Today I'm going to read you 3 pages instead of 2, like I did in an old recording. It seems like when I do a recording in a, rushed sort of panic way, I seem to read really fast, which is good considering how many pages I can cover. I mean, I used to be able to do 3 pages in 15 minutes, but now it takes me like 20 to 25 minutes to do 3 pages. I mean, yeah, I like to be careful with my enunciating, but seriously. When I do actual book readings in public, that's what it's going to be like. Oy. Fortunately, when I will end up for my future book readings, they're going to be in print copy, not documents. So that will be fortunate for me, sort of. Anyways, I do want to talk a little bit about something real quick before I start reading, before I start doing a little recap. Anyways, I am working excitedly on one of my older books. It's actually a book that I finished last year, I think. No, I started it last year in October, and then I think I finished it either in February or March. I call it On the Bridge of Death. It's actually one of my favorite books that I've written lately. And let's just say what happened this past weekend has inspired me to change one of the character names to my best friend's name, which is exciting because my best friend Anna, she got this new digital camera for her birthday. And it's not, those modern fancy digital cameras. It's the old-fashioned photography style digital camera. It's so freaking cool. So we went around town. In my area and just took some random pictures, including one of the local colleges, none of the state-known colleges. Actually, it probably is a state-known college, just I'm not familiar with their locations. Anyways, she's a really good photographer. I wish she had a degree in it or something, because I see potential. I seriously see potential. And so when I saw that potential, it reminded me of one of the characters in On the Bridge of Death. And I was like, hey, I should change the character name. So I've been going over it lately, trying to get all the names changed, get all the characters' name changed to Anna's. And of course, there's the secret name, so I had to figure what the secret name would be. And in the process, I am actually finding repeats of the word was, which is not good. Because what I've learned is that when there's a specific word that's repeated constantly, either in one paragraph or in one page, you need to change that. You gotta make sure that they don't repeat as much, otherwise your readers are not going to be paying attention much. So I'm just saying that for you all who are trying to figure out how to write books. And shoot, I gotta get recording. By the way, there is a light on. I figured it might help with the lighting just a little bit, considering how dark it's getting. Anyways, let's get to the book. Quick recap. Caprice, she is talking to a stranger about Princess Mariona. She's pretending not to know Princess Mariona, and so the guy's talking to her. The guy's trying to make sure that she's safe and stuff like that, but she wants to keep going. Whoops. But she wants to get away from him, I should say. And that's where we start. Of course, it's going to start in Catalan. No parlo bé el catalan, she replied. He sighed. Que parla anglais? She nodded. You shouldn't be out here. Oh, whoops, I forgot he has an accent. You shouldn't be out here. You need to be safe. Why? Who is this Princess Mariona? She used to rule Menavia 14 years ago. In a way, you almost look like her. She gasped, pretending to be surprised. He believed her look. After a loyal subject of hers claimed her dead, rumors were spread around that she was pregnant. If it is true, you could be related to her. Her eyes widened with shock. She thought it was a long shot that she could be related to Princess Mariona. Then she remembered Signor Baldwin's words when she first talked to him. I do recall hearing rumors before the riot that the princess was pregnant. Then she recalled what Signor Bruno Pujadas said. As far as the public knows, they don't know the rumor was true, that Princess Mariona was indeed pregnant during the riot. What does it mean? She thought to herself. Miss, the man said. Miss. She jumped. Her spine shivered. My apologies, miss. She gave him a soft, apologetic look. You do resemble her a lot. I am not that far from my destination. If you will excuse me, I should be going. His eyes widened with worry. I shall be fine. He grabbed her arm. I insist, miss. You really should be somewhere inside. It isn't safe outside. Should anyone think the same as I do, they could do something to you. She gasped, recalling those same words from Senor Baldwin. His grasp on her arm hurt her. That was when she figured out something. She tried pulling away, but he wouldn't let go. She tugged his arm with her free hand. He was too strong. Stop it! You're hurting me. You need to be safe, he said with worrisome. She started to get scared. How can anyone say that with such a painful grip? She thought to herself. Let go of me! She continued tugging his arm off with her free hand. Some of his fingers were slipping. Her sweat was helping her to an advantage. He used his other hand to grip her wrist. She gasped in pain. She pulled away with all of her strength, but it wasn't enough. He pulled her by the wrists into an empty building. Hence the empty building. Her follower gasped as she and the man entered the building. He rushed to the side of the building and peered into a window. You need to be safe, the man kept saying. Stop it! She twisted her wrists in his hands, but couldn't move them an inch. His grip was too tight. As he pulled her close, she tried to think. She looked around and realized the building was empty. She made herself think fast. She looked at him with fearful eyes. "Why are you scared?" he asked worriedly. She kicked him between his legs with her knee. He groaned as he leaned forward in pain. She ran out the direction they came in. Even in pain, the man was quick. As she was inches away from escaping, he grabbed her wrist again. She gasped. Her follower hurried to the entrance into the building. She thought fast and pulled out her dagger. The follower peered in and saw the dagger. He was surprised. The man pulled her toward him. As she faced him, she grinned wryly. "What's with the look?" he asked suspiciously. She dug the dagger into his shirt. He felt something sharp against his stomach. His eyes widened at her, and then he looked down. He looked at her with surprise and panic. By that time, Señor Pujadas was passing the building. Caprice's follower thought he saw him in the corner of his eye. He turned in the direction toward his boss. His eyes widened. He rushed over to him and touched his shoulder. Señor Pujadas turned and looked at him. He was worried. They both were. "She's over here, boss," he whispered. He turned and went back to the building. His boss followed. Instead of peering through the entrance, they peered through a front window close to the entrance. They wanted to hear what was going on. Señor Pujadas was surprised that she had a dagger in her hand. "Let go of me," she hissed sharply. He let go of her wrist. "Back off." With wide eyes, he stepped back several steps. When his distance satisfied her, she turned and left the building, the rondo dagger still in her hand. "Whoever taught you well." Then he ran off toward her. Caprice did not even get close to leaving the staircase when he grabbed her shoulders. She gasped as he pulled her close and dragged her inside. "Not well enough, though," he muttered into her ear. She shivered. Señor Pujadas stepped toward the staircase, but her follower stopped him. He lifted a finger and signaled him not to intrude. Something bad would have indeed happened if he did so. Being in that position made Caprice remember what happened when her mother was in the same position before she died. She held in her gasp. Tears started filling her eyes. Her breathing grew short and rapid. The man heard her breathing change. He made her face him. He became worried. "My dear, why the tears?" She looked down. "Why the acting?" He glared at her. He moved a hand on her shoulder, the very side she was holding the dagger. His hand moved slowly down her arm. Her mouth slightly dropped. She almost gasped as her body shivered again. The man stepped closer to her, trying to look into her eyes. "No more acting then," he whispered. His hand touched her hand. Then he reached for the dagger's handle, which was sticking upward. No dagger either. She looked him in the eyes nervously. He sounded honest, but he looked serious. She didn't like it. He pushed the handle down ever so slightly. The dagger started to slip from her grip. Her subconscious mind reacted before she could herself. Her grip around the dagger tightened. She pulled it up quick and put its blade against his neck. Her eyes widened at her quick pace, but the man didn't blink. He gasped, leaning his head away from the blade. She kept it close to the neck. You stay away from me. You are bold and courageous, miss. He looked her in the eyes. There will be others to connect the dots. She gave him cold eyes. Let them come. I shall warn them like I am with you now. The man knew what she meant, but he interpreted it differently. He placed a hand around her wrist. It was the very hand that was holding the dagger. He gently pushed her wrist away and stepped forward. She sighed heavily as her body shuddered once more. What are you doing? She said, but it came out as a whisper. He leaned down and placed his lips against hers. Her eyes widened as he wrapped his arms around her. He pressed a little more firmly against her lips. Her mind skyrocketed like fireworks on July 4th. She became excited all of a sudden. Oh gosh, she thought to herself. Not what I wanted. Not now. He pulled away and looked at her. She was still wrapped in his arms. She pushed harder to get away. He became shocked and let go of her, raising his arms. With her dagger in hand, she swung it wildly across his face. He felt the sharp tip scratching his cheek. A wound appeared near his nose. Oh. Would it be? Yeah. A wound appeared near his nose. He stared at her with wide eyes. Let that be a warning, she whispered hoarsely. Shall you do that again, I shall do the same to your arm. She breathed heavily. He stared at her with fear. Leave me alone. He nodded his head fervently and gulped. As she was looking at him, she walked to the entrance and left the building slowly. After she stepped off the staircase, she went to an alley next to the building and put her dagger away. She sighed and continued her walk to Senor Baldwin's house. Her mind forced her to recall what just happened. She started breathing heavily. Instincts. What did he tell me? She thought wryly, remembering her first encounter on her way to Menavia. She smiled faintly in a sigh. Just one more block, Caprice. You can do it. She began to feel weak. Her body shivered as her arms became numb. Her mind slowly succumbed to darkness as she fainted. Senor Pujadas and her guard rushed to her. Caprice's eyes fluttered. She stirred. She could hear quiet voices. "Thank you so much, Bruno," the Signor whispered. "I was beginning to worry." "Luckily, one of my men summoned me before it happened," he responded in whisper. "Nicholas told me what happened before I arrived." It is a shame she had to go through that. Thank you for sending Nicholas back to your house. Caprice wouldn't recognize him, but I am certain she would think he looked familiar." His old friend looked at him seriously. "I think it's time you told her the truth." The Signor shook his head in fear. "Cassius, you cannot keep this secret forever. She has to know." Caprice stirred again. Her eyes opened. She groaned. They gasped and looked at her. She slowly sat up. Senor Baldwin came to her side. Senor Pujadas stayed where he was. "Caprice, are you well?" the Signor whispered. She took a deep breath. Her mind cleared. She looked at him. She smiled faintly. "I feel tired, thirsty," she whispered faintly. Senor Baldwin picked up a teacup filled with warm water and honey. He gave her the teacup. She took a loud, slurpy sip. Do you remember what happened?" Senor Pujadas asked. And I will stop there, because that's where I marked it. I believe I will talk to you guys later. The next video I do will be put up probably along with this one. This week I'm trying to do 3 videos since I only posted 1 video last week. Which is a lot of recording. But I am determined to get all that done before the week is over. So the next video will be part 16 if I am correct. It's been a while. I will talk to you guys later. Hopefully I'll have some news other than other books. Hopefully I'll have some news for you guys other than the books that I have already written. I'll probably talk more about kidnapping as a deprivation. So, as I've already said, I will talk to you guys later. This is the Esperanza 243, signing off.
I know the sound of each rock and stone. I embrace what others fear. You are not to roam in this far.